Hey,
Hey,
how,
hey, how you been?
pretty good. How about you?
I've been good. I've been good cruising. I mean, just got back from the Thunderdome, so
Mm,
kind of figuring out real life again, getting back to it.
indeed. Yeah, well, it's
How's things?
good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. It's been a minute.
Yeah, been a little while. Time
Mhm.
flies, I guess, these days.
No
But
kidding, man. No kidding.
yeah, thanks for agreeing to do this interview. I'm hopefully gonna keep doing this with people in the community and just put them out there, and hopefully people enjoy it. It's a cool little community thing. And
Yeah, I mean,
you were like the likely, the logical first choice because you are a community centered person yourself and someone who's always contributed a lot and someone who kind of helped me rediscover freestyle just through your YouTube channel and kind of sent me down that rabbit hole. So thanks for doing it.
yeah, I'm honored to be included. That's really cool to hear.
Right on, man. Yeah, so my notes are like all up here, and I've thought about what I want to ask you in the past, so we'll just see how it comes out, and hopefully it'll be cool.
Yeah, I'll do my best to be as concise as possible and all that.
All right, on. Well, one thing that's very recent is you announced that there's going to be the U.S. Open contest in Southern California, Lake Forest, in July, and interested to hear more about that.
Yeah, so we haven't completely confirmed all the details yet, but we're working on putting together a US Open, an open format, so no divisions in terms of pro and rookie or anything like that. It'll be an open contest in Lake Forest, California, which is the home of Etnies Skate Park and Etnies Footwear, Soul Tech.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. Yeah, we have a great venue for it at Etnies Skate Park. We're stoked to be able to just bring freestylers together. We have a ton of really talented amateur riders and professional riders as well in the West Coast. So we want to put together a competition and offer an opportunity for a lot of these amateurs to test themselves and test their skating in a proper like classic freestyle competition. So it'll be featuring a kind of altered Japanese judging format, similar to what we have at the Thunderdome, which we just got back from. And yeah, it'll be just a two by two, I believe. Probably shouldn't talk about much yet because it's all kind of still in the works, but
Yeah,
be there.
yeah, I'm familiar with that format. I watch all the Japanese contests and stuff, and it's a cool format, the little versus brackets that they do. And
Yeah. So it won't be a bracket. I'd be careful with that. So it won't be a versus competition, but it will be judged the same way as the King of Freestyle and the Japanese national contests. So it'll have the three judge format for judging, um, with each judge covering a different aspect of someone's skating.
okay, that sounds
Yeah.
cool. Right on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping to come down. I have a sister in Orange County, so I've already like hit her up and said, "Hey, let's do a family visit in July." And
Cool.
so, see, try to make that happen. And are you going to go to Canada as well for
I'm work
around it?
I'm working on it. I'm hoping for Canadian trip. We'll see.
Yeah, same here. I was kind of beginning to think about it, but speaking of recent contests, you got first in the Masters division at the Thunderdome. Was that the first time you've entered as Masters?
Yeah, it was such a joke of a competition too. It was great. I'm honored to get first place, but yeah, I mean it was kind of a last minute thing. We were all watching actually like uh Jamie and Pete Betty and Jacob and a bunch of guys try 360 carousels
Yeah.
and just kind of on a whim. I think Dan said he wanted to do a run, and I was like, I'll do a run. Why not? Like
Yeah.
we'll do a little quick last minute demo. I think it was the last thing we did before we all started packing up, but it was a total joke. The kids judged it too. So it was three of the judges from the competition, me, Holden, and Danimal. And
Hmm.
for that section, it was just the kids getting to take out their revenge.
Oh, right on, right on. Well, the reason I was interested in that is because when we had that session down in your zone in Long Beach, I was asking you about your competition career, and you kind of hinted that maybe you were like retiring from doing that, and maybe you're just, kind of focusing on other things. So, what's the status?
I'm not sure yet.
Hmm.
Might be finished. I think I have another video in me.
Hmm.
Um, and I still enjoy skating, but we will see. I've been injured off and on for the last 2 years, so it doesn't really help.
I'm sorry to hear that. I deal with injuries. I think we all do, but it definitely can be a setback. But yeah, I just was interested because you've obviously accomplished a lot in competition already, and just in video parts and community building. I mean, you've done a lot for freestyle and for skateboarding in general. So yeah, I guess what I'm wondering is, do you feel pretty satisfied with what you've contributed so far, and like, do you feel like you're kind of cruising at this point, or are you still ambitious? Do you have a lot of like things that you feel like you have yet to accomplish?
Oh man, yeah, I'm happy. I'm grateful for all the opportunities I had, for sure. I think any success I've seen has come from opportunities that others have provided for me, whether they be competitions people have put together or projects I've been able to collaborate with folks on. Um, I'm super grateful for all of that. I have a lot that I still want to do.
Hmm.
I think a lot of the work that I'm excited to do right now is less focused on me or my like skateboarding career, and I just see a lot of projects and potential in helping to develop the next generation and set them up to have careers, hopefully in the sport. So I have to say, like that's been more my focus for the last year, and looking at 2024, 2025. Um, but yeah, I mean, there are moments where I'll watch a competition or a video part, and I'll be like, I got that, I could do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Or you get the itch, but we'll see.
Well, from my point of view, you still got plenty of contests left in you if you wanted to go that route, and video parts as well.
Thank you.
But it's cool to hear that you're thinking that way. I think like ideally with art and communities like ours, people have their mentors and people they look up to and the people who are supportive, and you've certainly been that all along. But it's cool that you're like focusing on bringing up the next generation, and Waltz is a great community resource as well. So that keeps the scene healthy and keeps people stoked, I think.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. It's been
Yeah,
fun.
right on. Yeah, I wanted to touch on something a little more personal, because I know you do a lot with Waltz, and I know you do a lot in general, and your YouTube channel and stuff obviously takes a lot of work. But I remember reading old interviews with you, like text interviews from way back. And one quote that I kept seeing was you were saying, in high school, all that I was ever good at was freestyle skating. And so I focused on that. But obviously, that's not true because you're an artist and you create graphics and you create videos and you edit videos and you have an artistic eye and you've got talent on the skateboard and talent in your communication. And, so I just think you're being humble. But I wanted to kind of highlight, and maybe you can explain like some of the, I don't know, trials and tribulations of having a YouTube channel, for example, because I know that's a lot of energy and emotional toll that it takes, and the social media stuff, it can be kind of harrowing. And then, doing all the stuff yourself. I mean, DIY is awesome, and I completely back it. But I just wonder about, overextending yourself and feeling overwhelmed by it all because you've taken on a lot and you do a lot. So I don't know if there's a question in there, but if you have any comment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to the your last question. I mean, anything I've been able to do in the last 30 years really has been due to opportunities presented to me. I mean, I'm super fortunate. Um, I mean, whether you're talking about, um, I mean, the parents I was lucky enough to have, or the friend group I was lucky enough to have, my siblings, like that kind of stuff. With Waltz, like being able to fall into a community of freestylers early on, I feel like I was super fortunate. Um, and then with Waltz, with YouTube, with some of the projects that are maybe skate adjacent, um, I may have lost my train of thought. Um, see, it's always good to ask for help, and especially when it's staying on track with the question answering, right?
Hmm.
So if you need to remind me where I'm at, I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, I guess what I want you to touch on is what's the experience been like for you doing Waltz, like in general, just lifestyle wise and work balance, like like I'm trying to picture what your typical day is like and everything that you put into it, and it's very interesting to me, because it's like it's ambitious. I'm sure it's a bit scary at times, but clearly, like from the point of view of skaters, it seems like a very successful venture, and it's grown a lot and it's evolved a lot. I'm talking about the company mainly, but then like your YouTube channel too. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into that, and from filming the videos to editing to putting it out there and doing all the extra sort of crossing your T's and dotting your I's to make sure it gets shared properly. So, yeah, what's all that like for you? And like, what's your daily routine, or what has that been like?
Yeah, I mean, it changes day to day. Eh, you know, oh man, I mean, it changes day to day for sure. We have a great team to work with, like starting in 2020, I think. After the pandemic happened and we went into lockdown and everything kind of went upside down. Um, I was taking over all the work for Waltz. I went and picked up boards and basically started shipping out myself, which was the first time I'd ever handled any of the fulfillment side of things. So at that point, I kind of took on all the work and luckily had enough time and space to learn the game and learn more about really what I didn't know about running a skateboard company. I feel like I was super lucky because shortly after that, I sprained both my wrists and needed help packing boxes because I couldn't even really tape boxes together in a comfortable way. And I was forced to ask for help, which I probably wouldn't have done otherwise. That's when Maria came on board and she started helping out. And that started this movement towards kind of learning how to ask for more help and in a lot of ways separating myself from Waltz and from what Waltz is as a brand.
Hmm.
So again, I feel super fortunate to have that and be kind of pushed to do that. Nowadays, a lot of my work revolves around contacting riders, staying up to date with where we're at with socials with Sarah Park Matat, who does a lot of our social media management.
Cool.
A lot of interacting with our vendors and our suppliers. So people like PS Sticks and our wheel manufacturers and folks who we get to work with because we're super fortunate to have access to some of the best skateboard manufacturers in the world.
Mm.
Um, so a lot of that scripting content for socials. A lot of planning. Now we're about a year out in terms of what we're planning for, both in product releases, events, and um, sort of media to back up product. And then there's always something new getting sprinkled on top, whether it's putting out a fire or
Mm.
um, having a new cool idea that we just want to see if it's possible.
Yeah. Right on, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of riders, you've sponsored a lot of Japanese skaters. You know that I love Japan and that I'm really, obsessed with the Japanese scene and have friends over there and stuff. Um, yeah, what's your connection to the riders there and the scene there? Because they've got the shop M80 and they've got FS Com and they've got a really great community over there that I think is very inspirational. And they have a lot of meetups and a lot of community events and contests. And how often are you interacting with them? And have you been working on your Japanese?
Yeah, you know that I've been doing the whole Duolingo thing. Yeah, I love Japan. I mean, I've known Masahiro and Toshiaki Fuji since I was like 19 or 20 years old. Um, I've been watching Masahiro and Toshiaki and Moichi and Hidemi and all the sort of core JFSA and like early Japanese scene contributors since I was 13 or 14 years old.
Mm.
Um, I mean, yeah, for anybody who's watching this who doesn't know, like the JFSA was sort of one of the first really structured governing bodies in freestyle, and they laid the foundation for the rest of the world, in my opinion, how to grow freestyle. When I went out there in 2018, spent a ton of time with Masahiro and Toshiaki, kind of learning from them. Oh, man, like I consider Masahiro one of my good friends, and that's weird to even say now still after all this time. But yeah, I think that uh, the the organization in Japan that helps support freestyle has done a great job um, putting together like competitions, um, like non-competitive events, videos, and products to support kind of lay a foundation for a community. And any success that we see now, or any growth in the freestyle community in Japan that we've seen, comes from those sort of four pillars.
Mm-hmm.
And coming back from Japan after 2018, that's exactly what we tried to do, was basically strengthen those four pillars in the States. And I think any success that we see now comes from the lessons I learned there and that my friends learned there.
Nice, nice. Um, they say timing is everything. I think as horrific as the pandemic was, it was a great opportunity for a lot of people to discover freestyle skating, and I count myself among them. I mean, I've been a skateboarder since '87, but I had freestyle for just like a few years, and
Cool.
it was a kind of a rebirth of my skating in a way, and it was really exciting and fun. And I see that energy spreading, more and more in the United States and through social media. Everyone's connecting. Do you feel like the scene currently is in a healthy place? And how do you reflect on, like, as some people refer to like the early 2000s and the 90s as being kind of the dark ages, because there were really very few people doing it, and I guess not a lot of ways to connect. So what are your feelings about all that stuff?
Yeah, I think we're in a really great place right now, the freestyle community. I agree that the the pandemic, for all that it was, it gave a lot of us a chance to connect in a new way. And freestyle was perfectly suited for it, right? Like, not only did we have something that you could do in your garage or on a patch of carpet in your home, um, from the business standpoint, like we we already had an industry that was built on direct to consumer like sales, so we weren't relying on like skateboard shops or distributors to purchase from us and so on. So even now we're still seeing the benefits of how freestyle was suited for the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We can get to that later. But uh yeah, I feel, I mean, the lockdown and the pandemic has been awful, and I don't want to sound at all like I'm saying I'm thankful for it, but I do think the silver lining here is that a lot of us found each other in that time when we were kind of figuring out life again. I'm grateful for that. um, Compared to like the early 90s or 2000s, I think since like things like YouTube and a lot of social media platforms have kind of democratized um, the way that skate media gets distributed, it's been the perfect environment for freestyle to grow. We don't rely on the magazines or on the major platforms to be the only way people can find our activity. Um, and yeah, I mean, now that I think we've had more momentum, it's even flipping the script a little bit, where now these big platforms that don't have the same foothold they had on skateboarding are now almost looking at freestyle like, oh shoot, maybe we should pay a little bit more attention to this.
Oh yeah, yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah,
That's cool.
feels good.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's well said. Um, I don't know, to what extent you pay attention to the main skate scene, I guess you would say, like street skating and vert and just whatever else is going on. I mean, it's really overwhelming for me coming from my generation. Like, it's really hard to keep up with the content. A lot of it feels very unrelatable to me because the level's too high. Uh, there are plenty of older dude scenes and older women scenes too. So you can get retro and you can get nostalgic and stuff. But the thing that I really like about the freestyle community is it feels like there's room to breathe in the community, and it's small enough to feel like a family. Um, do you have a similar feeling? And maybe you can comment on, like, what is your level of interest in like street skating or skateboarding beyond freestyle, and like, was it ever something that you were like concurrently obsessing over, or was it just mainly freestyle the whole time?
Yeah, I definitely pay less attention nowadays to like mainstream skateboarding. At least on the skateboarding side of things. I'm a product nerd and I love seeing new stuff. Like anytime uh, anytime the deluxe folks put out a new graphic line, I'm checking it out, or anytime there's a new skate shoe, I'm usually checking it out. In terms of skating, I can't keep up. I agree with you that it's often too there's too many niches to stay in touch with and stay up to date with. I'll wait until one of the guys I work with at the skate shop occasionally will send me a clip, or I'll see it at the shop. That usually helps.
Yeah.
Uh, Let other people be the filter of the content for me.
Right. Right.
Uh, but yeah, I agree with you that freestyle is in a really good spot in terms of the community side of things, and it's something that we make a huge effort to try to maintain.
Mhm.
Um, there aren't a lot of kind of gatekeepers or people who are um, kind of cool guying it too hard in freestyle, which is nice to see.
Mhm.
We saw that Thunderdome. It's all fairly laid back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a product of the early 90s when skating was super rigid in terms of what was acceptable and what wasn't. And I really delight in the sort of whimsical nature of like the freestyle aesthetic and how it can be interpreted many different ways, and everybody sort of has a place at the table. And I like that it also embraces all different levels. It's been really cool to see like Sarah Park Matat in her evolution as a skater, and people who haven't been skating that long that are still loving it and putting out that vibe. And I get as inspired to see someone learning, a Casper or something, you know, as I would, looking at a current, really experienced, talented sponsored skater, or even, I get stoked on 80s contest footage, because a lot of that stuff is still like I'm still finding new stuff because I haven't been in it that long. So yeah, it's cool, man. I was gonna maybe wrap it up with just a few more questions. See what I got for you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. What's time at? We got time still, right? Yeah, we're
yeah,
good.
yeah, I think I'm good, and the
Yeah,
concrete guy hasn't come yet, so that's good. I'm home doing
yeah,
chores. Yeah.
perfect.
So let's talk about boards for a second, because I'm kind of obsessed with shapes and product stuff. Like kind of like I think we have a similar interest in that stuff. Um, and we were talking about Japan before. I've always been interested in their aesthetic because it's so many Japanese skaters skate popsicle decks, and I tried to because I thought it looked cool aesthetically, but the reality of skating those steep concaves, it just wasn't didn't work for me. And I've
Mhm.
been gravitating more and more back to just single kick, no concave, flat, small, and kind of just looking at what all my favorites rode, like Kevin Harris and people who did a lot of footwork and flowy kind of rolling tricks and stuff. You've done some really cool stuff with shapes, and you've I think, and I've ridden waltz boards. They skate great. So I don't know what. And now you're working with PS sticks, which is, I mean, he's the guy, Professor Schmidt. So you want to comment on any of your own sort of obsessions when it comes to board shapes or quirks and things that you appreciate?
Yeah, I love boards. I grew up not having access to freestyle boards, so I think a lot of my first maybe 5 or 6 years on a skateboard was spent poring over blogs and old message boards where people would talk about their collection of Vision Don Brown decks, or Reggie Barnes Walker decks. So, well, I mean, I think there's so much there. Uh, the thing I talked to Paul about, and like a lot of the folks on like the hard goods side, is that skateboards, the process of making a skateboard has kind of gone through these like little like moments of progression over the last 30 years. I mean, even just looking at like coming out of the 80s into the 90s, going towards like a slimmer board with steeper concave, with more of a twin shape. Like the average skateboard, like the popsicle stick skateboard, arrived and then kind of kept going through these evolutions based on trends and performance and things like that. And if you think about freestyle, like it kind of got edged out of the equation in like the late 80s, right? Once you stop seeing the World Industries freestyle boards, freestyle decks kind of fell out of the market. the way I see it, we missed out on like 30 years of progression, and all that time where both like the technology in the boards and the way that they're being produced, like the actual workflow to make one, we missed out on all of the new ideas that came in that time. So part of the thing with Waltz was like we wanted to figure out how to narrow that gap, how to catch up with the technology. Easier said than done. Um, but being able to work with Paul has helped a lot. Being able to work with, I mean, all of our manufacturing partners has been incredible, and I feel super lucky that we have people in the industry who are open to freestyle, skateboards, skateboard wheels, skateboard trucks, all of that. But maybe I lost the plot here. But yeah,
What's
I
your
think
personal like taste in a shape? Like I maybe you go back and forth, but I know you rode single kicks for a long time, and lately I see you more on the double kicks. And do you like skinnier, wider, shorter wheelbase? What's your flavor?
I mean, I'm boring. I like a 13-inch wheelbase. I like the spoon nose shape that we have. I mean, I rode single kicks for such a long time, that I prefer having a very distinct nose, with lower concave. I mean, I'm super uh, spoiled that I get to kind of make my own boards that I want to ride. And the 7.6 Huntington, our like spoon nose shape is my board essentially.
Yeah, that's the
So
one that I had. It was the cat karaoke graphic. I
ah,
think it was that 7.6. Really nice,
yeah,
really comfortable.
thank you.
Yeah, man. Cool. Here's kind of a weird one. It kind of goes back to sorry to jump around time wise, but as you were coming up and having a skater identity at a time when freestyle was not known, in a weird way, did you feel like an outcast within an outcast sport? You know what I'm saying? Because the skateboarding subculture, at least from my point of view, a lot of us felt like we were weirdos, and all the punk rockers and heavy metal dudes, and there's a subculture. But then if you want to participate in that, but you're not cool enough, that can be a problem. So did you deal with those feelings as you were kind of coming into your own and building your own community within freestyle?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I was already kind of an indoor kid, like a weird kid who like before freestyle it was like the Warhammer and Warhammer 40K model kits in my
Yeah.
mom's basement. Like I was a basement kid painting miniatures. So like I think I was already accustomed to being the weirdo and like being a solo activity kid. Uh oh man, Maria and I always joke about the do you ever see that SNL skit about the wells for introspective children?
Hmm. Nah, I don't know.
I'll send it to you, but it's we always joke the freestylers are all those kids. We're just like we're not the sports kids. We're the ones who are in the corner
Yeah.
staring at the piece of shattered glass, thinking about existence. Uh,
Mhm. I
but
can see that. I mean, I've noticed in the community there's quirkiness that is like maybe a bit more elevated than the typical skater in modern times. Like it's like skaters are naturally, I think, pretty creative, and there's a lot of artistic musician personality types who are skaters. But in freestyle, I noticed that like there's even a little bit more of a nerdy intellectual or philosophical side, or maybe entrepreneurial side, or someone who's hyper focused. It's just interesting to take stock of the different personalities that make up our community, because it's a lot of very cool, interesting individuals.
yeah, yeah, I think yeah, I'm I don't think I would have found anything else that really um, kind of scratched that itch that freestyle did. And I think in a lot of ways I was searching for it. I think that's the case for so many of the folks that we have in the scene, right? I hear so many stories of like from parents who say that like such and such didn't really have a thing that they were attracted to, any like sport or activity that made sense to them until they found freestyle skateboarding. It's like hell yeah, we got to keep doing this. But yeah, definitely outcasts.
So I just have one final question, because I'm kind of getting down to like the last 9 minutes before I need to upgrade my Zoom. The final question I have is about like sustainability. because I'm turning 44 this year, and I still skate like daily, and I try to keep my body in good condition to skate. And um, I know we all deal with injuries, but do you feel that there's something special about freestyle in terms of like people being able to do it for longer and still do it in a way that's satisfying and progress?
Yeah, I totally think so. I think, especially in freestyle, if only because there's so many directions to run in when you're on a freestyle board, right? Like, I mean, street skateboarding has this with curb skating, where I think it's making a huge revival because it's low impact and easy for people's bodies.
Mm,
But I think freestyle in a similar way, I mean, you go full low impact and be a footwork guy. And I mean, I know I'll be spending a good chunk of my skating years from here on out doing mostly footwork, and I'm so happy with that.
yeah.
uh, but we still also have the Jacobs and
Mhm.
the folks who want to spend all day slamming into truck stands, and it's
Yeah.
also fun.
Yeah. I'm really impressed by that stuff. But I'm like on the same mindset as you. I feel like the footwork is almost like a martial art, kata or something, and you just do it over and over, and you flow and you enter that Zen headspace, and it looks amazing when someone's a master. I mean, like Kevin Harris, and you're pretty good yourself, though.
Yeah,
Footwork stuff. But
thank you.
thanks, man. I really appreciate you taking time, especially just like randomly hit you up on my day off, and it worked out. And like I said, I hopefully will continue to do interviews and contribute a little something more than just skating posts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm stoked to see it. Thanks again for including me. I'm honored to be involved in the first one.
Awesome, man. Well, take care.